The Cleveland Cavaliers have been riddled with injuries all season long. Their core four of Garland, Mitchell, Mobley, and Allen have only shared the court for 305 total minutes this season. That's fewer than half of their 857 minutes together the year before. The Cavs have not only survived these injuries, but thrived in the absence of numerous key players, somehow putting themselves in a position to possibly finish second in the Eastern Conference with even more wins than last season. But a recent string of setbacks might have hit them at the absolute worst time, as Max Strus, Evan Mobley, and Donovan Mitchell are all attempting to get back to full strength with only a few weeks before the playoffs begin. And considering the nature of these injuries, the Cavs will be cutting it close. Evan Mobley, who twisted his ankle on a wide-open dunk, is reportedly set to miss another week before potentially making his return. The 22-year-old defensive phenom has already missed 29 games this year, which is nearly double the amount of games he missed in his previous two seasons combined. Mobley has shown subtle improvements to his game this year, but injuries have robbed him of settling into a comfortable niche with the rest of his teammates. Meanwhile, Mitchell and Strus both face more indefinite timelines, with Strus recovering from a knee strain that has held him out of 8 straight games, and Mitchell nursing a bone bruise in his knee. There's no clear understanding of when either player will return, and that's the most concerning aspect of all of this. Now, I'm not a doctor, and neither is Brian Windhorst, but in his appearance on ESPN Cleveland, Windy said Mitchell's injury is one that typically only heals with weeks or even months of rest. And since the Cavaliers don't have that time on their hands, a PRP injection was used to speed up the healing process and provide a short-term boost. After receiving the injection, Mitchell sat out a number of games to let it kick in, but an unsuccessful return to the floor is something that has me worried. Mitchell's knee was clearly limiting him in his 2 games back, and Mitchell himself has talked about the lack of explosiveness he felt during this stretch, sending him to the sidelines once more in another attempt at recovery. The Cavs now face the dilemma of allowing their star players to heal while balancing the sense of urgency that is building as we approach playoff basketball. The rotation has been out of whack all season long, and the lack of continuity could come back to bite them in the playoffs. Last season, the Cavs' core 4 held the 6th best net rating in the NBA, behind 4 different Denver lineups and 1 unit from Philly. But the core is nowhere near that mark this season, falling out of the top 50 in net rating in their 300 minutes together. This is for various reasons, from constantly being banged up and in and out of the lineup, to some growing pains between the 4 of them. There are clearly some wrinkles that need to be ironed out, and the constant injuries have made it impossible for them to do it throughout the regular season. If it wasn't for Donovan Mitchell playing at an MVP level for 2 months straight, while Jarrett Allen stepped up as a legit all-star caliber player during that same run, the Cavaliers would find themselves in deep trouble. But fortunately, their previous 18-1 stretch has kept them above water during the murkier parts of the season. Right now, however, the tides are rising once again, and it will take big-time performances from Darius, Garland, and the rest of the roster to build momentum down the stretch. You don't want to stumble into the playoffs, but the Cavs might not have a choice if more than half of their starting lineup is hobbled. Strus and Mobley provide obvious benefits to the team, but really none of it matters if Mitchell isn't all systems ready to go. The last few weeks have only justified the Cavs' decision to trade for Mitchell. He raises their ceiling in a way no one else on the roster is capable of, and the larger question is whether or not his supporting cast can elevate their games to meet him at the top. The Cavaliers have a bunch of questions that need to be answered in the postseason. For better or worse, we have to find out if last year was a fluke or a product of poor roster construction. The future of this Cavs team is going to be determined by how they look in a few weeks. This is all speculation, but I'd have to imagine the core 4 plus JB Bickerstaff will no longer be safe if they drop the ball in round 1 again. Big changes would likely be on the way, and all I can hope for is that the Cavaliers are healthy enough to give us their best or worst performance at full strength, one way or another. Because I don't think Kobe Altman or Dan Gilbert plan on making any more excuses for this young team.